Hey guys, so for today I want to talk about my current team for Clan Boss Ultra Nightmare. So this team is a unkillable setup with a full counter attack. Interesting, right? I will give you highlight on the champions I've been using. Also, what is the speed tuning do we need and what kind of champions that we can use to get a full counter attack setup. Okay, so it's been a while since the last time I post video. The first hero that we need to have, if you're lucky enough to have Rosc the Tower, so this is your main thing to get the unkillable. So his skill on Zone of Protection to block damage for all allies for 2 turns. This is the key to get the unkillable team. You want Rosc to use his A3 just before the first AoE damage from the clan boss. So before the first and the second turn for the clan boss, because on the third turn clan boss will just stun. Then because you have 2 turns to block damage, so all your allies will not have any damage coming from the clan boss. On the third turn, when the clan boss stun, what you need is, I'm using Skull Crusher. So just right before the stun damage from boss, the Skull Crusher need to go using his A2 to place a counter attack buff on all allies and place an unkillable buff on himself. So with that setup, the only champion without counter attack is Skull Crusher, and the boss will definitely stun the Skull Crusher. That's the point. You get unkillable on the stun damage from the clan boss, and the next 2 turn with the AoE you get the block damage from Rosc. The third champion I want to show you and what I'm used is Sandlashed Survivor. With his A2, it will increase the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. So this I use to increase the counter attack buff coming from Skull Crusher. So you will get maximum counter attack, full counter attack, because without using this skill, your Skull Crusher, when it raises the A2 and give you all allies a counter attack buffs, that clan boss will stun the Skull Crusher. At that turn, your counter attack is useless, and you only have 2 turns of counter attack from Skull Crusher. Right? You get 2 turns. Places a counter attack buff on all except this champion for 2 turns. So on the third turn, another AoE damage coming from the clan boss, it will not counter attack. You can also use another Skull Crusher or another counter attack champion, so you get a full counter attack setup. But in my case, I'm using Sandlashed Survivor. I do have another Skull Crusher, but I want to have different champion for the setup. Another 2 champion you can use, one as a poisoner, which in my setup I'm using Frozen Banshee. If you have better champion, then you can definitely use it. Then my 5th champion is Rajin. I'm using Rajin for the decreased defense and weaken, so you will get maximum damage. Then with this setup and just a decent artifact, no need a godlike artifact, you can able to 2-key Ultra Nightmare clan boss. Let's talk about the speed setup. On Rosc, what you need is 241. Then for Skull Crusher, the speed that you need, it should be the fastest, 244. So the setup will be Skull Crusher, then Rosc. Rosc will give the block damage buff. So this setup 241 for Rosc and 244 for Skull Crusher. You can try to get critical rate 100% and push all the defense for Skull Crusher so you can get more damage. But in my case, in order to achieve this kind of speed, is kind of hard for Skullcrusher. I can only get defense almost 3000. It's only 2.9k and critical rate 80%. Not so high, but it's quite decent because you get to hit 4 times for every Titan boss, so it still gives a decent damage. Same thing for Skullcrusher. Same thing for the Roscat. Roscat also will have 4 turns for every 3 turns of the clan boss. And you need to have, this is a must, you need to have at least one immortal set. So the Skullcrusher will regenerate 3% of his health. If the Skullcrusher never gain health for on the battle, when the health reach almost zero, maybe 1, and it's almost zero, the boss will not hit. I've tried that. So you have to at least have one immortal set, or you can use lifesteal also, but to achieve maximum damage and you to achieve this speed, I will need to have 2 speed set and 1 immortal set. So this is important, the 3% heal. So at least the health of this Skullcrusher is not really low. So the boss still try to hit on the stun attack. For my Rosc card, I'm using 100% critical rate. I push the damage, and in the end, I'm getting 2.5k of attack. Not too high because I'm trying to get enough speed for him, but it's quite decent because, as I mentioned earlier, he hit 4 times for every 3 turns of clan boss. So I'm using cruel set because I want to get uh, what you call this, ignore 5% of enemy defense. Yeah, a bit damage, more damage than if you only use a attack set. Then another 2 speed set for this Roscat because you need to achieve this 241 set. For the slowest champion I'm using is my Frozen Banshee, which the speed is 191. You need to have these 3 champions on the range of 191 to 195. So at that range, you will be able to have this setup already. And it's very simple setup. I'll show you later. Critical rate, if you can push 100% is good. I only managed to get 80%. I can get attack for 3000. It's not bad. Still okay. Critical damage 94%. Accuracy, you need around 250 to be able to hit with her A3. Get poison sensitivity. It's very important. You need to push. You have to get the speed around 191 and you need to push the accuracy around 250. Not easy, but it's achievable. Next is Rajin. This champion I'm able to push the defense for 4000. It's good, decent damage. Critical rate not 100%. Maybe I can improve it if I can get better artifact. Try to push on 100% critical rate and push on the critical damage as well. Speed, you need to have in the range 191 to 195. In this case, I want him to have 193. It's faster than my Frozen Banshee because I want him to hit with A3 first, get the weekend decrease defense, then my Frozen Banshee can hit to get more damage. That's the plan. My last champion is Sandlashed. Her stat, I'm getting her the fastest out of that 3, 195. The plan is after the Skull Crusher give the counter attack her turn, then he can increase the buff from the Skull Crusher, the counter attack buff. I managed to get critical almost 100%. Defense is very high, almost 4500, 4.5k. Critical damage 120%. Accuracy not so important for her. Oh, another thing for Razin, you also need to get accuracy around 250, so you can able to hit and give the A2 for decrease defense and weaken to the clan boss. Okay, I think mastery. Here I try to get more stat. I think mastery you are already familiar. For resin you need to have the, what is this called? Sorry, I forgot the name. Giant Slayer, because he hit 3 times. Giant Slayer for resin, War Master for Rosc, War Master for Skullcrusher, War Master for Sandlashed, and War Master for Frozen Betsy. So that is the setup. Then let's go to the clan boss. Ultra Nightmare. Let's do the setup. I'm using Sandlashed as the lead. Then Razin here, Roscard, Skullcrusher, then last but not the least, Frozen Betsy. Okay, this is my current team. Team power is only 181k. I'll start this. Put manual for the first turn. You can use A2 on Skullcrusher because at this point of time he hasn't stunned yet, so his ability will have cooldown only for 3 turns, no need 4 turns because of the stun. So I use A2 for Skullcrusher, A3 for Roscat, increase the counter attack, so nice. A2 from Razin, then A3 from Frozen Betsy, just like that, and you can click auto. Very simple setup. Turn 1 setup and it will do nice, so well for you until the 50th turn of the clan boss. So you can see by yourself full counter attack setup with my current team. Damage from Sandlashed also not so bad. Yeah. Then the clan boss is stunning the Skullcrusher like we want. We put block damage from Roscat on the AoE. It will just go like this. I think around turn 7, turn 8, you will have no damage at all to your allies. At this point of time, some of your champion, at least the slowest champion, Frozen Betsy, will still get hit, so you also need to be careful to have a bit of defense. That's why I put Silent Survivor as leads. You will get increased defense aura. Okay, so I think after this turn, everything will be synced up. No need to worry. As long as the boss not hitting his Frozen Betsy on that turn 5 or turn 6, also turn 6 on the stun, it should be fine. If the Frozen Betsy health too low at that turn, the boss will hit Frozen Betsy, will not hit the Skullcrusher. So just be careful on that one turn, because after that it will be auto sync up by itself. You can watch until the end and we'll see what's the damage. I'll leave it for now. Yeah, sorry. So I'm back now. I just take a smoke for 5 minutes. Just take 5. So we're almost in the end of this clan boss battle. Still in sync, the unkillable setup. So nothing to worry about. I can just leave it. Usually after the first round, when you do the setup, it will just do nicely for you. That's what I like about this setup. So in order to get 2 keys for Ultra Nightmare, you need to have damage around 35-36 million. So we are almost near the end. Seems like we are reaching that number. It's already 33 million on the turn 46. Just do bear in mind the artifact I'm using for my current champion is not a godlike champion. It's just a decent artifact. It's not a godlike artifact, and it already can deliver the damage with this speed tuning. You can reach 35 million, 35 to 36. Okay, we're almost there. So my objective is just to kill the Ultra Nightmare. So with this setup and with my current artifact, it's already 35 million. I'm quite satisfied. So that's so nice. If I can get better artifact, I know I can get more damage, bit more damage, maybe almost 40 million, but in the end it's still 2 keys, so should be fine. So as you can see, the most damage coming from Frozen Banshee, the poisoner. So if you have Occult Brawler or even other poisoner, it might do more damage, but for me Frozen Banshee is enough. 17.5k. The second damage hitter is from Razin, 6.8, almost 7 million. These two champion alone is already delivered damage around 25 millions. So it's very nice. The rest is your setup. The remaining 10 millions coming from the rest for these three combinations: Rosc, Skullcrusher, and Sandlashed Survivor is almost 5 million, 4 million, and almost 3 million. So it's around 10 million there. So this setup, I can call it unkillable team with full counter attack setup, and I only need Rosc as legendary. Razin, you can fuse it. The remaining champion is two epics, which you can easily access, and one rare champion, which is Frozen Benzi. Okay guys, thank you for watching. That's all from me for today. Thanks man. Thanks guys and girls there.